Hey guys, so the gun I'm working on today, you just saw me shoot it, just got it fixed. This thing was frozen solid. You couldn't, the bolt would not retract. You couldn't open it. I mean, I like never got this thing undone, but I did get it loosened up and got it all apart and cleaned up and got a few things polished up on it, and it shoots well now. And this thing is very accurate. I was impressed. I thought, you know, being that it was so rusted and everything, that it might not shoot well, but it actually shot very well. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to make my first repair video since I got the camera now. So he's going to let me redo the stock on his. So I'm going to see if I can give you a better view of it. See if I can get the camera set up in a different position so you can see it better. All right, it's a little bit better position. You know, bear with me as I learn how to do this thing. This is my first video, and I've got a good camera now, but you know, I still don't know what I'm doing. So just bear with me, and I promise I'll get better. But anyway, let me turn this light on. Might help. I don't know if that really helped or not. Well, anyway, so got Marlin model 336 RC 35 Remington. Not sure what year, but it's pretty old. It's not super old, but so he wants me to redo his stock. The stock's in pretty good shape. I did put a new butt plate on it because the other one was broken. Let's see if I can show you. See all the scratches. Let's see. There we go. You can't really see them that well through the camera, but there's some of them right there. It's pretty scratched up on that side. Not too bad. I mean, I've seen worse, that's for sure. Let's see. Yeah, it's just got scratches here. We'll get that sanded out, get that smooth, and we'll get that filled in. That's not anything. There's a dent right here. I don't know if you can see that dent or not. Let's see if I can get it better in focus. Come on. Right there. I don't know if it'll show it or not, but it doesn't look like you can see it very well. But anyway, that's that side, and then the forend grip. Use forend. It's in good shape. It's got, you know, some small scratches on it and stuff. It's not that bad. And this side, I'm trying to think if there was, oh, right here, you see this little broken spot right there. We're going to repair that. I'm going to use epoxy on that. This is a great candidate for a refinish because it's not going to take a whole lot of work. But this will give me the opportunity to show you the process that I like to use, especially on these Marlins. These Marlins, when they, you know, come from the factory, they don't have, there's no stain on these. It's just, I use True Oil. I'm not sure what they use. They probably use boiled linseed oil, or they might have used True Oil on it. I'm not sure. But I mean, there's a few dents in there. We got to get these dents out. There's a dent right there, you know, and I'll mark every dent, every little bad place. I'll mark everything, and then I'll work on those and get those. I'll steam those out. As long as the fibers are not cut, you can steam it out. That one looks like it's a good candidate. I don't think it's cut. That one's not cut. So as long as it's not cut, when you're cleaning the stock, you can steam those out with an iron. And but if it's cut, now if the fibers are cut, you're not going to be able to raise it. You know, you're just going to have to. I mean, you can try to raise it and get it up as much as you can, but you're not going. It's not going to come out like these right here. This one will come out. That one will probably come all the way out. Some of these scratches, you know, if they're not sanded out completely, then I might fill them a little bit, but they'll be sanded out completely, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they'll be sanded out completely. They're not that deep. Great candidate, and we're gonna start by disassembling it. I'm not going to show you that process. I mean, I can. I don't know if I should or not, really. I would think that everybody would know how to take these stocks apart, but just in case, I'll show you the process. All right, stay tuned. Okay, we got the camera moved. Let's see here. We got the camera moved and we're ready to start taking the stocks off and getting ready to we have to clean them first and everything. So what we did, need to take the fore end off, and this is going to be a little difficult because this screw is kind of boogered, but we're going to see if we can do it. Now one thing I should tell you, when you're working on guns, any gun, or maybe I should say every gun, never use a regular screwdriver like you buy at Home Depot, or you know, or the auto parts store, or the Snap-on truck, or the Mack truck. You cannot use regular screwdrivers on gun screws. You need something that fits perfectly, preferably a hollow ground, something that's hollow ground like this right here. You've seen these bits over and over. These are gunsmithing bits. These are made to fit the screw perfectly, the screw head, so that you don't strip them out, don't booger them up, don't mar them up, don't mess them up. That's the biggest thing with guns. That's the biggest thing you'll see. It's the biggest thing I see in this shop. People bring their guns in here and where somebody has taken it apart or something, the screw's all boogered up because they used a regular screwdriver. That's why you got to use hollow ground screw bits, or at least screwdrivers or bits, but gunsmithing screwdrivers mainly. And then you just find the right one that fits it. I believe this one probably work. Some of these are going to be a little tough, but you just always find the one that fits that slot the best, you know, the thickest. Because that one thing I've found over the past several years is that the slots, they're not always uniform on every screw on a gun. They tend to be, the slot might be wide on one screw, the next screw it may not be wide. It just depends. And now the biggest thing, you know, you don't want to slip off. You don't want to slip off and then scratch everything. So you want to be very careful, precise with your movements on it, and just take your time and be gentle with it, and then it'll come off. And this screw is going to be, and just push it through. There's one screw, and this ring will be ready to pop loose. Sometimes it'll take a little bit. Now you can take a non-marring hammer, such as this one with a nylon tip, and you can tap it a little bit. See? Flip it over. There we go. Use a non-marring hammer. And you know, I'm not hitting it hard. I just wanted to, just enough to knock it loose. The next one is taking the stock off, and then let's see, I need to get one a little bit wider. That one looks like that's pretty good, but that's not wide enough. Try this one right here. Perfect. All right. So this screw, you'll just take this screw out right here. This one, there's a screw right there. See that screw? Now take that screw out. Not used to doing this on camera, so. I get a little confused or forget that I'm recording or something, bear with me. Got that screw out. And then usually, sometimes they'll just pull off. Sometimes they won't. It just depends on, man, I think the camera's slipping, or I don't know if it's slipping or what, but I'm gonna adjust it. That way I can see a little better. Or you can see a little better. So I got the screw out, and usually it'll just, sometimes it'll just pop off. A little bit. Well, there you go. Alright, so after you get the stock off, and then remove the butt plate and spacer, and then you'll remove the grip cap and spacer, and you'll also remove the sling swivel. This was called a bullseye. That bullseye has a black circle in it. Let me see, I got some right here. So this is called a bullseye. Just a little piece of plastic with a black circle in it. Now what this does, the only thing that I know the purpose of this is not to screw your sling swivel in. That's not what it's for. The swivel actually goes back here. It'll go about inch and a half back. This would be in there just like that. But what this does, the only thing it does is it tells me whenever I see this on a marlin stock that this is a walnut stock. That's all it is. It denotes a walnut stock. Okay, we're back. Alright, so I got everything stripped off of it. Got the bullseye out. Okay, so now we're at the cleaning stage. One thing I want to tell you, this procedure that I'm going to show you, I first saw it on a video by Iraq veteran 8888, and after I saw that video, I tried it, and it worked so good. It's pretty much my go-to. You know, if there's like a lacquer finish or a polyurethane finish on it, this may not work so well until you strip that polyurethane off. Then you can use this to draw all the stain and everything out. But with that, I'll reposition the camera and get started. I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. Okay, we got the camera repositioned. Hopefully you can see this well. So I just want to go over some of the products. Right now, I've got 3M heavy duty stripping pads. We'll use this lightly. And then I've got the moderate stripping pad. And then the final stripping pad. I will use these most likely. Set these off to the side here. Baking soda, just regular old baking soda. Cheesecloth, and the go-to crud cutter. Man, this stuff works great. I'm glad I saw that video. If you haven't had a chance to check out the video by Iraq Veteran 88, I can't remember what the name is of it, but it's on refinishing a Mosin Nagant stock. It's well worth watching. Anyway, hot water, boiling hot water. I got some boiling hot water over here. Normally you would do this outside, but it's raining. It's raining outside today, but normally I would do it like they do it in a mortar tub, because you can do the longer stocks that way. But luckily we have a 2-piece, so it's small enough it'll fit in the sink. So first thing you do, first thing I do, spray it down with the crud cutter, get it all over, and you'll see it'll start turning the color immediately. Man, this stuff like strips all the wax and everything off, kind of like Super Purple does. Kind of does the same thing probably. I think Super Purple might be a little too harsh probably, but the main thing you want to do, the whole reason for this right here is, you know, getting a clean slate to start with, but also all these oils that, you know, where the gun's been cleaned over the years. You see where it's dark right here. You can see where it's dark on the ends. I don't know if you can see it really well, but it's really dark on the ends right there and there. And that's just where, you know, the oil has built up over the years from cleaning it. Happens to pretty much every gun, depending on what kind of oil you use. And so I'll just spray that like that, and I'll let it sit like that for a minute. And then I'll spray this one. Spray it inside and out, everywhere, and just spray liberally. I bought, you know, a gallon of it, and I just refilled the bottle. But if you could see, try my hand. I'll try to pick the camera up maybe and just kind of let you see how this is working already, because you can't see it from that angle. So I'm going to try to show you. You see all that brown in there? I mean, it's, the finish is already, and all those oils are already coming out. And we hadn't even, I mean, we hadn't really done much. Okay, sorry about that. Had a customer come up, and customers do come first. Alright, so we got it soaking. I got a little bit more water boiling, so we can keep it good and hot. Now at this point, what I do is I'll just take it, put it in the water, just kind of clean it off in the water good, try to get all that stuff out of there. Now what I do is I just let it soak for a little while. Don't take long, and you can kind of feel it coming off. So you get it good and wet, good and hot water. You can see it. I mean, you can actually see the finish coming off. And once we get this all clean, there won't be, there's no stain on this one anyway. Most marlin stocks, they don't stain them. Walnut stock, so they don't stain it. It's dark enough to begin with. Okay, now what I do, I got the stock, you see it's nice and hot. I'll spray it again. Spray it again like that, like so. Really focus on these ends right here, because you want to try to get all the oil out of there as much as you can. I'll let that sit for a minute. I'll do this one. And dipping it in this water does not hurt it at all, as long as you dry it out before you start sanding. Now, you can see that water just from dipping it in there for that couple minutes. Look how dark that water already is. That's just from the finish, the boiled linseed oil or whatever they use. Okay, I'm not sure what they use. I think it's boiled linseed oil. All right, the next step that I like to do, I didn't even realize I'd put that thing in the way. All right, so the next step, I've got some baking soda here already open. Take the baking soda and I just rub it in, kind of rub that baking soda around, get it all coated really good. It makes like a paste, and just paste it on like that. To me, I feel like that's the best way to do it right here, because you're going to see in just a minute what we're going to do with the cheesecloth. Now, I would try to really cake it up on the end here. I would. I just try to get it really thick. You get some of these pieces down here. Alright. Now that we've got a good little coating on here, the next step is wrap it in cheesecloth. Yes, we're going to wrap it in cheesecloth. So we've got cheesecloth here. You want to wrap it really good. And then what I do, spray it with more crud cutter and get it really down in there. You want this thing covered completely with crud cutter. Now ideally, you'll be letting it hang over the whole time, you know, and it would be steaming, kind of steaming the stock the whole time, but being I had to come inside because it was raining, I'm just gonna have to do it this way. But you get the general idea, and you can always, you know, find a way to improve on it. Just try different things, and that's all that's all you have to do is just try different things. You'll be able to improve on it, I'm sure. All right. Now you just Now you want to cake this on, like really cake this. All the way down in there. Alright, there's no sense in you watching me do this, but you're just going to cake the whole thing in baking soda. And I would just let it sit for a minute, you know, for 10-15 minutes with the crud cutter and the baking soda, and let it kind of soak. And then I would transfer it over to the water and then let it soak in there for a few minutes, for about 30 minutes or so. That's what I do. And so anyway, once I get this thing all coated and everything, I'll be right back. Okay, so now we got it all coated. Now I'm going to spray a little bit more crud cutter on it. Not too thick, I don't want all this to run off. But that crud cutter and that baking soda will get every bit of that finish out of there pretty much. Should. Sometimes it, you know, doesn't work as well as you'd like it to, but most of the time it works great. You just got to take your time. And now I just let it sit like that. For, you know, let it sit here 10-15 minutes. I'll keep spraying it, won't let it dry out. Then I'll transfer it to the water, let it soak for 20-30 minutes. I got water boiling over there, so I can keep it nice and hot. Alright, so now it's time to do the foregrip. So we're going to do the same thing with it. And spray it with more crud cutter. There we go. And then that way you can form it and get it really tight. And coat it with baking soda. You just want a good thick coating. You want it, you know, you ain't got to worry about being uniform, but you want it good and thick coating on it so that it penetrates all the way down and everything is covered. And that's the biggest thing. We'll make sure that everything is covered. So what I do, especially on these forends, I'll just press it in, make sure it's in there good. And I'll add more, because you just want a good thick coating on here. There we go. There we go. That's flow up now. There you go. Nice and coated. We'll let that sit for about 15-20 minutes. Let it sit for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll stick it in the water and put it in there for about 20-30 minutes, and then we'll take it out, clean it, scrub it, and see the final result. Okay, it's been soaking about 15 minutes. So I'm going to take some boiling water. Emptied out the sink and put some fresh water in there, some fresh hot water. Now I'm putting some boiling water in there. I sprayed it one more time, and now I'll just put it in here and we'll let it soak. Spray this one more time. Now you can, you can experiment and try different ways of doing this. I'm sure there are lots of different ways. This is just the way that I liked when I saw it, and I thought it did a really good job. environmentally friendly. You don't have to deal with a bunch of strippers most of the time. You know, you can do this without gloves. So, but anyway, now we'll let it soak for 30 minutes or so, and we'll come and flip it over and all that. Keep it sprayed. We'll keep it sprayed, and like I said, we'll let it soak 30 minutes or so, and then we'll keep it sprayed, and then we'll scrub it. We'll take all the cheesecloth off and everything. I'll show you that process. We'll scrub it clean, and continue to wash it off, and then we'll let it dry. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you real quick. This thing has been soaking for like 2 minutes already. Only 2 minutes. And let me see if I can get this flip around where I can see. If you look, I don't know if it comes through, but you can see where that oil's coming out. It's already starting to discolor. I can get there you go. You can see it right there. It's already starting to discolor. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. See that? That's that finish coming off right there. See, that's what it does. It just draws it out. And that's only after 2 minutes. So, but I just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay, so it's been soaking about 30 minutes, and you can see how dark the water's already gotten. So it's doing a pretty good job. So now it's time to unwrap it. And you can see on the cheesecloth, I don't know if you can see it really well, but it's discolored where it's drawing all that out. Now I let it soak for 30 minutes, but I did like every 5 minutes come back, or 10 minutes come back and spray it again, and then about halfway through I covered it with more baking soda. And you see how much, I mean, this is the second second sink full of water, and it's, you know, already dark again. So we're going to drain that out, put some fresh water in there. We don't have to have it so hot this time. And just going to rinse them off. Rinse it off a little bit. Now I'm going to take this 3M stripping pad. It's, you know, it looks really coarse, but I mean, it's coarse, but it's not going to tear the wood or anything like that. It's just going to help get the finish off, and you're not going to use this, you know, really hard. You're just going to scrub lightly. See, there's still some finish on there. And you want to try your best to get all that off, and you're just going to scrub it with this one first. And not, like I said, you're not using a whole lot of pressure. You're just using a little sort of light pressure. You want to get it clean, not gouge it. That's all you're trying to do, get it clean. Plus you're going to follow up with a couple of other milder pads. And so you can see, that's finished. So what I like to do, I think I've got it pretty clean, but still, you can still feel it slick. So I'll spray a little bit more crud cutter on it. And then we use our trusty brush. It's a nylon brush. This nylon brush will help us get down in here and everything. Because what you want to do is the remaining finish should be, if there's any remaining on it, it should be softened. And so you should be able to kind of dig it out with the brush. Try not to drop it. Put another ding in it. Let's fix that one too. Alright. Now I'm going to spray it. Let me get this in first. And you want to pay, particular attention to these ends right here, because these fit in. I don't know if it's going to show too much, but these fit into a slot. So you see right there. And so you don't want to build up too much finish or anything like that. So remember that when you're applying your finish, to make sure you brush that out of the ends, out of these crevices right here. Rinse it off. And spray it with more crud cutter. Let that sit for a few minutes. And so you can see it drying out a little bit. The finish is gone pretty much. Just clean the rest of this off and it'll be good. Good to go. Kind of use this little stripping pad. I mean, this stripping pad is pretty mild. It's not super abrasive or anything. And notice I'm not super scrubbing it like, a whole lot with this pad. I'm just merely trying to get the finish off. And you can feel it. You can feel the finish coming off of it. I mean, you can literally feel it. Spray it with crud cutter and brush it. Then after we brush it, I'm going to scrub it with a moderate stripping pad, which is the medium one. Brush it with this one. Scrub it with that one. And then I'll scrub it with the final scrubbing pad. And then I'll clean it a final time, spray it and kind of rub it, wipe it off. And probably use the cheesecloth as a rag. And then we'll let it dry. Okay, final stage of the cleaning process. I scrubbed it with all of my different scrubbing pads all the way down to the fine one. And I put more crud cutter and a little bit more baking soda and just rubbed it on it. Let it soak for a few minutes because I feel like there's still some finish coming out because the water was brown again. So I've cleaned the water again, put some more hot water in it, and I'm just going to dunk it in here and just let it sit for just a minute and see if a lot more finish comes out. If a lot more finish comes out, I need to just keep going. I need to keep going until no more finish comes out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep checking it, and I'll be back to show you the finished clean product. Okay, so I've cleaned up my mess so the wife doesn't get mad at me. That's always a good thing. And now I'm just letting everything dry. Usually overnight, you'll have to just check it in the morning or check it during the day to make sure it's completely dry. You don't want to start repairing things or sanding on it till it's completely dry. But you can see it's starting to dry. It's a bit lighter. I got as much of the finish and the old finish out that I could get. So I mean, I think it looks better. It was really dark on the ends there. Yeah, that looks good. Let's see if it'll focus. There you go. So it did a really good job. Of course, it's not dry down there yet, but you see it's going to be a bit lighter when it dries, and then boy, you start putting that finish on it after you sand it. Oh man. Anyway, that should be it for now. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up. I want to try to keep these videos as short as I can, but I want to try to show as much information as I can too. So bear with me. Hopefully I'll get better at it. So stay tuned for part 2. Circle B Armory out. Don't forget to visit www.circlebarmory.com. Please like and subscribe and share. Click the notifications button and all that kind of stuff. Click the bell, whatever. Just appreciate you watching. Thanks.